Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you're here. Today I'm just doing a quick video on trying to help us recognize what our spouse might be doing in our relationship in an attempt to reach us or in an attempt to help our relationship that we might not be noticing, and helping us realize what happens to the marriage when we don't recognize those things. Okay, so I kind of see this in layers. You might have a different vision for it, and if you do, I would love to hear that, so leave that in the comments below when you finish the video. But I kind of see this in layers, meaning we have different levels or layers of what we see that our spouse does for us and what we totally miss. So the first layer is the obvious layer, the things that we do see, the big gestures like a planned getaway or coming home with flowers or delivering cookies to his work or whatever it is, the bigger things, right? The surprise date night. Those are the big things that we notice, oh, my spouse is making an effort or an attempt to reach me. And so we totally notice those big ones. The next one is the layer of the not so obvious, but still a gesture. Maybe we notice it sometimes, maybe we don't. But it would be things like making coffee every day, making you cookies, going to the grocery store with the honey-do list at the grocery store and picking up a couple of your favorite things just because you need them. I'm throwing that one in there because my husband is so good at that. He's really awesome about picking up a couple things. We have 4 kids, and so if he can pick up a few things, it's so much easier for me. And that in and of itself is a great gesture of love. But he also grabs like random little things that I like from the store that I don't think to buy myself necessarily, or when he gets them I'm like, oh yes, you know? So something like that. It's pretty small and not super significant, but when I recognize it, it's totally significant. There can be a million different things in this category. I could go on and on with examples and still not hit them all because there's so many things that lie in this middle zone of we might know that that was them being kind or extending some extra love towards us or something, but there's still the things that might get overlooked and might not get appreciated because they're on the more mild side, but these are the important ones. And then the next layer for me is the most important, and it's also the most ignored maybe. And those are things like going to work to provide for a family every day, and staying at home with kids and keeping a house running every day. Those are things that we do every single day, and they're a part of life and they're non-negotiable, right? They're just things we have to do. But they still are done out of love for our family and for our spouse, and we want that appreciation, right? No matter who you are watching this video, whether you're the one that goes to work all day to be the breadwinner or you stay home all day, we both want and need that appreciation for the time and effort and blood, sweat, and tears sometimes that we put into our days. And those are ways that we try to reach our spouse that they might not recognize, right? We might overlook how much care that they put into their job to be able to provide for their family. We might overlook how much care they put into the kids and schedule and all of that to care for the family, right? So it might seem obvious and little, but those are the things I think every now and then we need some more notice for and some more appreciation for, right? I'm not saying we need to throw a party for each other every time the lawn gets mowed or the dishes are done. Those are mundane, necessary parts of life, and I'm not saying everyone gets a cookie for that, right? But it feels good when your spouse is like, hey, thank you so much for getting that thing done. Thank you so much for fixing that door. Thank you so much for cleaning up that crazy mess. Whatever it is, just giving that acknowledgement totally beefs up your relationship. And this is the part I wanted to get to of what happens to our relationship if we don't recognize all these things, the big ones and the little ones. What happens if we don't appreciate the surprise date night? What happens if we don't appreciate the random lunch drop off, or the coffee making, or the simple mowing of the lawn? What happens when none of those get appreciated over a long period of time? In another video, I talk about, I'm talking about the withdrawer and the pursuer in the other video, but the point of that one that I want to make here as well is that in relationships, we're constantly scanning for the question, do I matter to you? Both people are doing it way deep down, even if you don't realize it. We are constantly scanning, do I matter? And when we don't get appreciation or acknowledgement maybe for some of these things that we do for each other, it does end up also sending the message, you don't matter, right? What you just did for me doesn't matter. And I think that that is a very dangerous thing for a lot of marriages, is it's a constant repeat message of you don't matter, and what we need the repeat message to say is you do matter. You matter the most to me. And so it is a huge downfall or breakdown of a marriage when these little things are done in an attempt to reach a spouse and it gets shut down because it says I don't matter. And then look at it this way, right? Let's say you're watching this and your marriage is struggling a little bit more than making each other cookies, right? You're not even at the point of making cookies or coffee for each other. You guys are barely surviving. That tells me that there's been a long time of making attempts on both ends, right? Attempts to reach each other, attempts to care for one another or show love, and it gets shut down, right? And it's just this constant reinforcement of you don't matter, you don't matter, you don't matter. And that feels terrible. So then when one tries to make an attempt again, it's met with a coldness, right? It's met with, I'm shut down because I've tried to reach you and that hasn't worked. And now when you try to reach me, I'm not going to go there because I can't bear that feeling of I don't matter again. So the struggle is getting back to that place where you guys can hear new messages, and that takes a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of understanding of the negative cycle that you might be in. But no matter where you're at in this process, these little things that I'm talking about today is part of the process, right? If you're in a really struggling place, there's probably a lot more work to do. If you're somewhere in the middle, but either way, this can help a lot to do these little things for your spouse and let them know they do matter. So this video is not for you to send to your spouse and say, see, I've been trying to do all these things and you just don't notice them. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is for you to maybe try to open your eyes and think, man, what has my spouse done recently that might be an attempt to let me know they care, or an attempt to let me know they do love me. And if you really can't think of something, then that's okay, right? Maybe your marriage is in a place where it needs a little bit more work and a little bit more repair. But the thing that you have control over is you making those attempts. Even if you're not feeling it from them, I want you to be able to feel it from them. You both need to get it from each other. But if you need to be in the place right now of, I'm just gonna give right now and give more to them, I don't know your current situation. So you'll have to take that with your own filter of what's best. So just remember, we all have to give, right, at some point to the relationship to keep it growing. Not at some point, at all points, we have to continue giving. And it does need to be a mutual giving. And if your relationship is not at that place right now, then maybe there's some more things that have to be done, but don't stop giving, because you know what it might feel like to have that stop, and it doesn't feel good. And it doesn't give you a boost of energy in a sense to say, okay, we can fix this. So don't stop giving if you can, right? I don't know, every relationship is different, and you might need an outside party to help you kind of decipher where you're at, but we need to recognize these things in each other, and the big ones and the small ones, because it makes a big difference on our relationship, and it adds so much health and goodness to our relationship if we can recognize them more often. So thanks for watching today. Hit all the buttons, share with a friend, and I'll see you next time.